स्कन्दधरो धुर्यो वरदो वायुवाहनः वासुदेवो बृहद्भानुः आदिदेवः पुरन्दरः स्कन्दधरो धुर्यो स्कन्दधरो धुर्यो स्कन्दधरो धुर्यो वरदो वायुवाहनः वरदो वायुवाहनः वरदो वायुवाहनः वासुदेवो बृहद्भानुः वासुदेवो बृहद्भानुः वासुदेवो बृहद्भानुः आदिदेवः पुरन्दरः आदिदेवः पुरन्दरः आदिदेवः पुरन्दरः स्कन्दधरो धुर्यो वरदो वायुवाहनः वासुदेवो बृहद्भानुः आदिदेवः पुरन्दरः. In this shloka number 36, we have 9 names from 327 to 335. The 327th nama is Skandah. For the purpose of Pushparchana, we say Om Skandaya Namaha. As per dictionary, the meanings given for the word Skandah are effusing, shedding, anything which jumps or hops, clever or learned man, king, etc. If you pay close attention here, the association is to the agility, intelligence and leadership. Skanda refers to these qualities of Bhagavan. Pauranically, reference of Skanda is made with respect to the second son of Lord Shiva, also called Lord Murugan or Lord Kartikeya. I would like to add a note here that there are traditions which puts Lord Skanda as the elder son. However, based on Skanda Puran and Shiva Puran, Lord Ganesh is the elder son. Skanda Puran is one of the 18 Mahapurans and is known for the descriptive skills and strategies that are applied in the battlefield. Philosophically, we are constantly at war with the negativity within us. The strategies are thus interpreted to help strengthen our internal capabilities when we analyze the Puran. A leadership is effective when you are energetic, agile and intelligent. These qualities not only enable you to make strategies, but also ensure their implementation or execution. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, shloka 24, Bhagavan says, Purodhasam cha mukhyam mam vidhi partha brihaspatim senaninam aham skandah sarasam asmi sagarah. Relevance here is senaninam aham skandah. Among the commanders or the warriors, I am Skandah, giving a direct reference to Bhagavan as Skandah. However, Shankaracharya takes the meaning based on the meaning of the word and expresses his anubhavam as Skandati amrita rupena gacchati vayu rupena shoshayati iti va Skandah. He is called Skandah because he spreads in the form of nectar, the Amrit, as in the life-giving essence. Further, Acharya says he moves in the form of wind, Vayu, and dries up, Shoshayati. For meditation purposes, we take the value of leadership. Everyone is a leader for their own self and their kshetra. The values of being energetic, agile, intelligent are core to being an effective leader. Meditating on this nama helps in realizing and practicing the core value of leadership. The 328th nama is Skandadharah. For the purpose of Pushparchana, we say Om Skandadharaya Namaha. The one who supports, preserves, carries and sustains the Skanda is Skandadharaha. For this Nama, we take the value of intelligence to Skanda. What is intelligence? Our explanation is that holding on to the righteous path is intelligence. It is only when I lose my intelligence that I become driven by adharma or a personal gain as opposed to kshetra paripalana. Remember, what you think you acquired is not that which you acquired. Rather, what you have acquired is that which you have gained as a capability. Acquisition of any material or other possessions is never true. What is true is action in terms of anatma and vivekam, the brilliance and effulgence as atma. Effulgence is gained by the way you connect with others and not with what you exercise as an authority. With this context in mind, Acharya says Skandadharaha means the upholder of the righteousness. Dharmapatam dharayati Skandadharaha is the way Acharya puts this. For the meditation purposes, we will focus on these values, placing the same on I. 1. That I must be energetic, limited by the physical capabilities. 2. That I will be agile. 3. I will apply my intelligence. 4. That I know I am a leader and I drive. Lastly, and most importantly, I will consciously uphold the dharma at all times. There is an alternate interpretation for this nama, which I have read. Lord Kartikeya was a very successful commander of the army. Lord Vishnu, as the sustainer in the Trinity, is seen as the base for all the victories of Skanda. One who upheld Lord Skanda in his victories is Skandadharaha, Lord Vishnu. The 329th Nama is Dhuryah. For the purpose of Pushparchana, we say Om Dhuryaya Namaha. As per dictionary, the word Dhuryah means being at the head of, able to draw or bear, foremost, best, horse, leader, fit to be harnessed, etc. Shankaracharya expresses his anubhavam as Dhuram Vahati Samasta Bhuta Janmadi Lakshanam iti Dhuryah. Dhuram means burden or responsibility. Vahati means carries. And since Bhagavan bears the burden of birth and existence of all beings, he is called Dhuryah. So basically, it represents the leader as the meaning, but also specifies the quality of one who bears the burden. One of the best meaning that we can look at is fit to be harnessed. A person with skills, knowledge and discipline is fit to be harnessed for leadership, projects or responsibilities. We quote Shloka 5 from chapter 6 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanamavasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanah. This verse emphasizes self-discipline and self-upliftment, which aligns with the idea of fit to be harnessed, where one's mind and intellect should be prepared for higher pursuits. So basically, we are talking about the quality of being able to bear the burden, or one who takes charge while being open to being harnessed. A great value for all of us to meditate upon and see the ideal one in the form of Lord Vishnu. The 330th Nama is Varadaha. For the purpose of Pushparchana, we say Om Varadaya Namaha. As per dictionary, the meaning of the word Varadaha are conferring a boon, granting wishes, ready to fulfill requests or answer prayers. Varam means the best. Varadaha means one who gives the best. Shankaracharya expresses his anubhavam as Abhimatan Varan Dadati iti Varam. Gam Dakshinam Dadati Yajamana Rupena iti va Varadaha. He is called Varadaha because he bestows the desired boons. Alternately, he grants Gam, the cows, as Dakshina to the Yajamana in the form of a blessing. To qualify the term Gam, Acharya provides Vedic references which establishes cows as supreme. Gaurvai Varaha iti Shrutehe is the way Acharya qualifies this. Veda establishes the term Gau to represent Kamadhenu, one who fulfills all desires, classified as earth, the source of all life and prosperity, speech, that which represents knowledge, wisdom, and the sacred truths, light or knowledge, that which dispels the darkness or ignorance. Gam as a dakshina means all the three. For meditation, let us take a moment to reflect on the profound idea of conferring a boon. One common misrepresentation in our understanding of Puranic stories is the simplistic notion that we pray to God, God appears, asks for our wishes, and then grants them upon request. While such stories are rich in symbolism, their deeper meaning often gets lost in the surface level interpretations. Similarly, there is often a misunderstanding of the term tapas. It is frequently imagined as something dramatic, like standing on one leg or performing an intense and focused prayer, etc. However, tapas is much more nuanced and meaningful. The word tapas embodies the idea of aligning oneself entirely with a desired goal. It involves focusing all activities towards the objective, becoming unwavering in purpose, and letting go of even the most tempting distractions if they do not align to the objective. Tapas is about disciplined effort, supreme dedication, and self-sacrifice in pursuit of the desired outcome. It is a testament to the individual's ability to remain steadfast even when confronted with significant challenges or temptations. This brings us to the true value of Varada, the bestower of boons. Bhagwan grants a boon not arbitrarily, but when we have demonstrated our absolute commitment and focus on what we desire. It requires us to pour our heart and soul into our efforts sincerely and steadfastly, letting go of distractions or seeking shortcuts and alternate paths. However, there is one more vital component. Beyond just effort, tapas includes an unwavering recognition of the divine as the source of grace. It means keeping God in our hearts, trusting that our actions, when aligned with sincerity and divine remembrance, will ultimately bear fruit. Thus, Varadaha teaches us that God bestows a boon when our effort is coupled with faith. It is not just about striving, but about striving with a sense of surrender and devotion. When we embody this combination of discipline, focus, and faith, the reward becomes inevitable. and the one who bestows the best of the reward is Lord Vishnu as Varadaha. The 331st Nama is Vayuvahanaha. For the purpose of Pushparchana, we say Om Vayuvahanaya Namaha. This Nama occurs again in Shloka number 91. The root Vayuhu comes as a Nama in Shloka number 44. This name has two parts, Vayu and Vahan. Earlier, we have seen that Vayu is not just the air that we experience outside, but also the internalized Pranan, which is the core to all the strength that we display. The term Vahan is very colloquial. It means vehicle. Thus, we have two interpretations that we can make of this Nama. The first is one who is the Vahan of the Vayu, as in the carrier of the air that spreads all over. And the second one is for one to whom Vayu is the Vahan, as in through Vayu, Bhagavan spreads himself all over. We can even combine the two and see it as Bhagavan is the carrier of Vayu, thus moving the air and gets himself carried in the Vayu, delivering the life, strength and capabilities for our sustainment. This gives us the subtle nature of Bhagavan and establishes that it is not the Vayu which has the power. It is the power of God and they get distributed through Vayu. Shankaracharya makes it general and gives his Anubhavam as Marutaha Sapta Avahadin Vahayati iti Vayuvahanaha. The one who causes the Maruts, the 7 storm deities, to move is Vayuvahanaha, the carrier or the mover of the wind. This Nama establishes that Bhagavan is the controller of natural forces, the prana or the life force in existence, and the base for the 7 types of maruts or winds which define the diversity of natural energies. The 7 types of winds as per Shastra are Avaha, that which brings air from one region to another. This facilitates the movement of clouds and rains, etc. The second is Pravaha. It sweeps away impurities and air which gets stagnated. This creates a movement and circulation. Basically, the process that helps to purify and renew or re-energize the air is Pravaha. The third is Samvaha. This collects and condenses moisture. This function is attributed to creation and growth. Vivaha disperses air evenly across regions, ensuring balance and uniformity. Parivaha. This encircles and protects the earth. The work of this Marut is protection and sustenance. Udvaha. This lifts moisture and air upwards, enabling cloud formation. This function is symbolized with the contribution to progression, growth and elevation. The last is Paravaha, acts as a counter force, creating equilibrium by balancing other winds. Basically, it establishes harmony. The meditation value is attributing these qualities of Marut to the I. Observe the functions of the 7 kinds of the Maruts and focus on their functions. All of these are the functions that we need to perform in our Kshetra Paripalana as well. If you excel in these functions, you will elevate yourself. But if you are caught in the prison of cause and effect, you will suffer the experiences of samsara, not realizing that you are missing out on your core functions. The 332nd Nama is Vasudevah. For the purpose of Pushparchana, we say Om Vasudevaya Namaha. This nama occurs thrice in Vishnu Sahasranama. In this shloka, and we will be seeing it again in shloka numbers 74 and 76. There are two derivations to this nama. One is a direct reference, born to Vasudeva, hence Vasudevah. Lord Krishna is the son of Vasudeva. The other derivation is more appropriate for this nama. Vasu or Vasu means to reside. Deva means one who experiences, enjoys, the experiencer. In other words, it is the God who resides in us and experiences. Hence he is called Vasudeva. Shankaracharya expresses his Anubhavam very beautifully, giving two references from Mahabharata. Vasati Vasayati Achadayati Sarvamiti Va Vasuhu. Divyati Kridhate Vijigishate Vyavaharati Dyotate Stuyate Gacchati Itiva Devah. Vasuhu Cha Asau Devah Cha Iti Vasudevah. A very long one, but let us go word by word to understand. Vasati means to dwell. It is Bhagavan who dwells in us, who resides in us. Vasayati means causes to reside, basically provides a shelter. It is Bhagavan under whose shelter we live. Hence he is Vasayati. The third is Achadayati, means to cover, to envelop, one who pervades. Sarvamiti Va Vasuhu. This is the qualifier. Basically, everything is enveloped by him, and in everything he lives, and everything lives in him. Hence he is called Vasuhu. Divyati means to shine. Kridate, to have leela, to have divine place. Vijigishate, to conquer or excel. Vyavaharati means to conduct, interact, basically to govern. Dyotate means radiate, ability to illuminate everything. It is because of him that we are able to even see or experience the object. Stuyate is praised or worshipped. Gacchati, goes or moves, represents again that he is spread all over, pervades everywhere. Itiva Devah. Hence he is called Devah. Vasuhu cha asau Devah cha iti Vasudevah. Since Bhagavan is both Vasuhu and Devah, he is called Vasudevah. He gives the quote from Shanti Parva. The shloka goes like this. Chadayami jagat sarvam bhutva surya ivam shubhihi sarva bhutadhivasascha vasudevah tatasmritah. These are spoken by Bhishma Pitama to King Yudhishthira. The verse carries the meaning that he envelops this entire world like how the sun envelops the earth with its rays and is the abode of all the beings. Hence he is remembered as Vasudevah. He also quotes from Udyoga Parva. The shloka goes like this. Vasanat sarva bhutanam vasutvad deva yonitah vasudeva iti khyatah sarvaloka maheshwarah. This comes as part of Bhishma Pitama's words to Duryodhana. The verse means he is the abode of all the beings as well as the one who resides in all with his own divine origin. The Lord of this world is known as Vasudevah. For meditation, the emphasis is to look at Bhagavan as both the abode as well as the one who resides in me. one can contemplate on Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 shloka 19 to add a flavor to this contemplation. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamithi samahatma sudurlabha. The 333rd Nama is Brihat Bhanuhu. For the purpose of Pushparchana, we say Om Brihat Bhanave Namaha. Brihat means huge, very large. Bhanu means race. Together, Brihat Bhanu means huge race or supreme race. In his Bhashyam, Shankaracharya quotes a shloka. Brihanto bhanavo yasya chandra suryati gaminah tairvishvam bhasayati yah sabrihad bhanuhu uchyate. There isn't a specific source for this shloka. While some observe it to be from Udyoga Parva of Mahabharata, some attribute it to Vishnu Puran. The context is conveyed in both, but the verse by itself is not found. The verse says, one whose vast radiance is the source of the light for sun and moon, which traverses the heavens, and one who illuminates the entire universe with them, is called Brihat Bhanuhu. For meditation purposes, we need to put the value on the Chaitanya Amsham called I. The shine of Atman is far superior than that of every other form of light. This inner light, the Atman, is the source of all awareness and perception. Everything shines only because of the supreme light within. And that light is the Paramatma, the Brihat Bhanuhu. In tradition, we add the reference from Swayam Jyoti Brahmana. This comes in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The Swayam Jyoti Brahmana establishes that the light that illuminates everything, yet is itself never illuminated. This is the essence of Swayam Jyoti, can be summarized in this. While the sun, moon, fire, and even the mind serve as a source of illumination, they are all dependent on something else. But there exists a light that shines by its own nature, revealing all that exists even in the absence of the external sources. That self-luminous reality, the unwavering brilliance that pervades everything, is the Atman, the Brahman, the Brihat Bhanuhu, that supreme radiance. It is not seen by the eyes, yet it makes all seeing possible. It is not known by the intellect, yet it is the very source of knowledge itself. For this Nama, the specific mantra that we add as a reference is Yasya na Suryo na Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyato Bhanti Kutoyam Agnihi Tameva Bantam Anubhati Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. The Upanishad says neither the sun, moon, stars, lightning, nor fire truly shine by themselves. All these sources of light are dependent on something greater, the Self or Brahman, and that Self is self-luminous and eternal. The 334th Nama is Adi Devaha. For the purpose of Pushparchana, we say Om Adi Devaya Namaha. This Nama will come again in shloka number 52. The root Devaha comes as a Nama in shloka number 41. Adi Devaha means the first God. And because he is the root cause, the Adi Karanam, he indeed is the first God, a very straightforward Nama that speaks to the definition of Bhagavan. Shankaracharya gives his Anubhavam as Adi Karanam Saha च असौ देवः च इति आदिदेवः द्योतनादि गुणवान् देवः. He is called Adi Deva because he is the root cause and the first divine being. He is endowed with qualities such as illumination, Dyotana, and other divine attributes, and hence he is Deva. The value to contemplate for meditation is what is my root. If you contemplate, you will realize that your memory starts when you are around 5, not after you are born. If one contemplates, this leads to realizing the misunderstanding that you have about what you call as I. Because your existence is well beyond anything that you know, it will lead to identifying your causal roots. In the seed, the tree existed in its potential form. This would also mean not even the seed is the beginning. This is the value that we will realize when we meditate on this nama. The contemplation will throw light on the core of yourself. At the core, I am the Chaitanyam. I am Sad, hence I am Anantam. And this is the same for Paramatma as well. Also, in everything or everyone you see, the root is the same. Sarvatma Bhavam, the realization that all are one, is the benefit of meditating on this nama. The 335th nama is Purandaraha. For the purpose of Pushparchana, we say Om Purandaraya Namaha. As per dictionary, the word Purandaraha means destroyer of strongholds, housebreaker, thief. It is another name for Indra as well as the god of fire, Agni. In principle, it means the fire or the concept that burns. At a bigger level, it is one that destroys. Contextually, this term is used as the one who destroys the cities. It is to be noted that this body in which we carry the current existence is also called a city. Navadvare Pure Dehi is the way that it goes. The city with 9 entrances is the way the body is identified. And one who destroys this is called Purandaraha. Shankaracharya expresses his anubhavam as Sura Shatrunam Puranam Dharanat Purandaraha. Vacham Yama Purandarau cha iti Paninina Nipatanat. Because God destroys the forts of the enemies of gods, he is called Purandaraha. Acharya further qualifies this interpretation with Panini's Sutra, affirming the grammatical and traditional use of the nama. The word Nipatana in Panini's grammar refers to an exceptional or irregular usage that is fixed and must be accepted as it is. In our tradition, we take the meaning of one who destroys the 3 sharir, which are physical, subtle and causal bodies. We call it as Stula Sukshma Karana Sharir. The liberation from the clutches of these 3 sharir happens upon the realization that I am the Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. For the meditation purposes, contemplate on the benefit that when I surrender myself to the God, physically, mentally and spiritually, I get liberated. It is said that I am liberated from the bondage to my physical body when I surrender physically, as in devote myself to visiting temples, visiting kshetras as in pilgrimage, taking Kayika tapas like Adipradhakshanam or Shashtanga Namaskar, etc. Practice of Karma Yoga destroys my attachment to both the physical body as well as the subtle body. Upasanas like Dhyanam, Japa Yajnam, these liberate you from the bondage to the subtle body. Jnana Yoga, comprising of Shravanam, Mananam and Nitidhyasanam, not only unites you with the Supreme but also destroys the Karana Sharir.